Good evening. Oh, we can do better than that.
Good evening.
Oh, thank you very much. It's delightful tonight to be here, just as it always is at this award ceremony. It's one of the more special things, actually, that I'm aware of that happens during the course of the academic year, because it does bring into focus one of the things I think that we want to always pay special attention to, and that has to do with the academic success and the excellence in terms of achievement of our students. It's particularly important, I think, that we're able to do this so far as our African American students, our students of color. Too often, we will recognize their efforts in other parts of life, and perhaps even in other parts of university life. But this always brings us back to the primary reason that all of us are here. And it has to do with education. It has to do with providing encouragement. It has to do with helping, at least, to set very, very capable students on a path toward continuing and increased success. So again, it's great. I'm delighted and privileged to be here tonight, and thank, actually, the folks who are responsible for organizing this for the invitation to once again be able to stand here and to congratulate the students along with you. Many of you will already know Donald Cunningham, who is standing to my right. Dr. Cunningham, along with Professor Yvette Harps-Logan, several years ago, we won't go back how many years that is, had the vision actually to start this program. And as I look at the audience tonight, see how many of you are here, how many students, how many people associated with those students are here, you can see immediately how successful the program has become. I'm remembering back to that first award ceremony. There may have been 3 or 4 faculty members. I'm sure fewer than a dozen, and certainly fewer than 20 students. So the way the program has grown is really a testament to the efforts and to the vision of Dr. Cunningham and Dr. Yvette Harps-Logan. So I'm about to turn this over for a moment or two to Dr. Cunningham, but I think it would be appropriate now if we showed our appreciation for the efforts that have brought tonight into the realm of possibility.
Thank you. On behalf of the Black Scholar Awards Committee, it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Bibb back. For over half a decade, he served as our presider. Being politically correct, we don't call them Master of Ceremonies anymore. And he went on hiatus for a couple of years after he retired. And we had, in the inimitable personality of Assistant Dean Earl Smith in the College of Arts and Sciences, serving as our presider. But he was more than happy to resume his position, and we're glad to have him back with us. It is indeed my honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to the 15th Annual Black Scholar Awards program. This was a vision of Black faculty members dedicated to the mission of recruiting more African American students and students of color. And we were interested in not only recruiting them to the university, but retaining them and supporting them, and recognizing how difficult it is and challenging it is for African American students or students of African descent to matriculate through a predominantly white institution where they make up such small numbers in terms of the academic community, and in an academic community that often is not very supportive of them in very substantial ways. It is with great pride that we are honoring accomplished students. And for me, that's very important because I've had some certain challenges with regards to basic academic standards in this university, with regards to attendance in classes, participation in classes, and most importantly, submission of coursework in a particular time. So all of these students have done those things and have done those things with aplomb. And I find it especially gratifying to recognize African American students who have participated in the university community in the proper academic context. With no further ado, I'd like to, at this time, welcome our new president, Dr. David Dooley.
Thank you, Dr. Cunningham. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I was scheduled to be elsewhere and will need to leave shortly in any event, but I'm very pleased to be able to join with you tonight for the time that I was here and to add my congratulations to a number of people. First, I want to publicly thank you, Dr. Cunningham, and Dr. Logan, and the other faculty who made this event possible, who had the vision, the passion, and the commitment to realize that this event is an important event, not just to the awardees, to the students that we honor, to their families and friends who helped them be successful, but this is an important event for the entire university. And every year, I think it grows greater in importance as the community that we have honored, both now and in the past, grows and fosters others to come here equally committed, as Dr. Cunningham said, to not only excelling, but doing things the right way. And that is what we want to be about at the University of Rhode Island. And that's why we're so proud of the students that we honor tonight, and why we're all proud of you. Everyone is proud of you and what you've accomplished. And not only what you have accomplished here, but we're confident that what you've accomplished here is only the smallest part of what you will accomplish once you graduate from the University of Rhode Island. We are looking at young people. We're looking at young people who are going to be among this nation's leaders. And the University of Rhode Island will be proud of you well into the future as you assume those positions of leadership, as you lead this country into areas that it has not gone before, and enable it to do things and live up to the promise that brought us all here to begin with, and that sustains us all now that we are here. So thank you very much for this important event.
As I said, it's indeed an honor to have President Dooley with us this year. As a new president, he's been consumed with a lot of chores and tasks, getting adjusted to the university. So after 3 years, we're glad that he finally was able to come and be with us. At this time, we'll bring back our presider, Dr. Bibb,
who will be here for only a moment just now in order to introduce Dr. Donna Gilton, old friend, and Donna is going to offer for us the invocation. Donna.
Good evening, friends. Tonight I will say a prayer that was written by Reverend Frank Madison Meade III of Baltimore, Maryland, and it's a prayer that's very relevant for our times. And he calls it a prayer for liberation that leads to liberating love. O God, who is a father to the fatherless, a mother to the motherless, and a friend to the friendless, we come seeking fellowship with your power and peaceful presence. In a culture filled with divisiveness, discontentedness, and domination, we pause for a moment of centered cosmic Christian connection that will bring wholeness and healing to ourselves and our world. We take time right now to worship you, to adore you, to magnify you, and to praise your holy name. In the words of the psalmist, we lift up our eyes unto the hills from whence cometh our help. Our help cometh from the Lord. O God, liberate us from the domination of individual and institutional violence. Liberate us for the ministry of deliverance to the captives within and without. Liberate us from a self-centered spiritual materialism, and liberate us in to serve the present age. Liberate us from building our kingdoms and liberate us for the kingdom of God. Now, God, we thank you for your liberating love, which redeems us, restores us, and revives and resurrects us. We thank you for the gift of love you gave us in Jesus Christ. We thank you that it is because of your divine liberating love that we are able to serve, to stand, and have this moment of prayer, strengthened for the journey of this day. Amen.
You know, we don't get together too often, and so on evenings when we are all together, particularly in celebratory mode, there are a few things that we like to get done. And one of those things that we want to accomplish this evening it will be a series of announcements from Africana Studies by Professor Vanessa Quenu. Vanessa.
Good evening. Good evening. It is indeed an honor and a privilege. I always look forward to this night when we can celebrate and give honor to our beautiful, beautiful young ladies and men. Let's give them another round of applause. As was stated, my name is Vanessa Winder Quenu, and I'm the interim director of the Africana Studies program. And I always love just to add my voice simply in solidarity with Dr. Cunningham and those that make this evening so wonderful, and just to say how proud we are of you and how we stand together in celebrating you. You are the reason that we do what we do. Just a couple of quick announcements. That the Africana Studies program sponsors several study abroad programs. The Cape Verde program, Assistant Dean Earl Smith, you just wave your hand. He will be leading that group to Cape Verde, and the URI in Ghana program. It is rescheduled for July 1st through the 15th, and we still have seats available, and you're welcome to join us. Also, for all of the graduates and for all of you, really all the friends of Africana Studies, you're welcome to a graduation breakfast, graduation morning. If you're rushing out of the house, you and your family and your friends and loved ones, don't stop at one of those places. I won't name them for fear of getting in trouble, but don't stop along the way. Just come to the Multicultural Center on the second floor, and we would love to greet you and see you for breakfast there. Thank you, and have a good night.
We've already recognized Dr. Cunningham. We've alluded to the fact that Professor Harps Logan was one of the people instrumental in the formation of groups that have led to sponsoring the event tonight. One of the other people, though, who has been critical to the ongoing work leading to Black Scholar Awards is Chris Hunter. And where are you, Chris? Oh, you're too close. Okay. Chris is going to come up now, but I think it really is important that we recognize the work that Chris and a number of other African American faculty do in being sure that this comes off on a night like tonight, that it is as celebratory as it turns out to be, and that it is the success that we've come to expect.
Good evening. Good evening. I have the esteemed pleasure to present our speaker for this evening. I'm actually very excited about this. Usually Cunningham takes over everything, but this year I went forward and I said, I'm going to find the speaker this year. And it happened by chance that I was hanging out, and I ran into this brother named Jim Vincent. And Jim and I were at the South Street Cafe talking, and it was the most exciting time. I met Jim many, many years, maybe over 10 years ago, and we ran into another after all this time. We started speaking probably about I would say about 8:45. We stopped at 10:15. You know, after 10 years not knowing each other, I mean, it was so engaging. And I said, this young man, I'm saying, yes, sir, this young man has to come present to us because he embodies what I think is very important about what we celebrate this evening. We're celebrating scholarship, and we're celebrating people who give back to the community. So let's share what this means in terms of bringing this young man forward to us. Jim Vincent, you may know, but if not, I'm going to let you know. He's the president of the NAACP, the Providence branch. He also serves as the manager for constituent advocacy for the Rhode Island Housing Authority. And what's important about this particular position is that it allows him to provide outreach and technical assistance to the underserved communities. Also, I know him, and maybe you have also, through television you've seen him, as he produces and hosts the award-winning Jim Vincent Show, which can be found on public service television. Let me share some of the things in terms of how he gives back. On top of that, as if we haven't said enough, I'm not going to read the program, but you certainly have these things in front of you. But we wanted to highlight a few things. Jim has served as president of both the Rhode Island Affirmative Action Professionals. He served as vice president of both the Rhode Island Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce and the Center for Hispanic Policy. He serves as Outreach and Public Relations Coordinator of the African Alliance of Rhode Island. And he's been a member of the Cape Verdean Progressive Center and a former president of the Urban League of Rhode Island. This man knows nothing about being tired. And hopefully you'll feel his energy and his presence when he comes and shares with you this evening. In terms of his actual program, it has been awarded the 2006 Metcalf Diversity Award for Television Broadcast, 2006 Special Recognition of the Best Series of Rhode Island, Cox PEG Television Awards, 2006 NAACP Providence Branch George Lima Community Service Award. Right, so what I'm sharing is he continues to do things that helps our community, and not just the black community, because you've heard these different things. This man gets around. And I found it so engaging, and like I said, I had to bring him forth to you. Now, I said he was a scholar as well. Right, bachelor's degree in government from Dartmouth College, and a master's in city planning from the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy Leaguer type guy as well. Now, what's interesting about this is when we started talking, he let me know exactly that he was from the hood. Right, so he came from a very special place and has gone on to more special places. And it was fun, and he mentioned that to me. He made that a serious note to me that he went through some things to get where he is. And I think we've all gone through some challenges. And he's going to share a story with us this evening. I present to some Mr. Jim Vincent.
I'm going to bring Chris with me everywhere I go for the next 2 years. That was over the top. If I was the mayor of the city, I would have vetoed that. That was way beyond anything I deserved. But I appreciate that, and I thank Donald Cunningham for putting together this whole thing together. President Dooley, he just left, but I thank him for the understanding how important being here was. And I also would like to recognize Abu Bakr and Roxanne Gomes, two people who I've worked with over the years, and they are also part of the University of Rhode Island community. So I appreciate the fact that they're here also tonight, and anybody else that I've worked with and know. But my story is pretty similar to a lot of stories, but I think what I want to do tonight, and I'm not going to go on and on and on because we got some deserving students that really tonight should be focused on, not speechifying. We need to honor the students that have put the time in to do the work that, against all odds in some cases are excelling as well as anybody, anywhere. So, I am mindful of why we are here. However, I'm trying to inspire a new generation of leaders. I once was in a classroom just like this many, many years ago. I guess 40 years ago, I was a junior in terms of undergrad. But let me explain how I got to be the president of the NAACP and former president of the Urban League, the two greatest civil rights organizations that America has ever produced, and how unlikely my journey has been. I was born in Boston, and Boston is an interesting place. The reason why I left Boston 22 years ago is because I couldn't handle the racism of the city. I was a young black professional, and I felt I played hard, played by the rules, and I wasn't going to beg and ask anybody for anything I didn't deserve, but I certainly was going to not shy away from things that I felt I worked hard for. So Boston, it was a problem about 22 years ago for me. That's why I left, and I wasn't necessarily going to come here, but I, saw an opportunity in East Providence, and the rest is history. But I was born in Boston, and I found out years later that Boston is an interesting place because even though it's supposed to be the cradle of liberty, it has spawned some of our greatest civil rights activists. I was born in the south end of Boston, and at that time of my birth, picture this, within a 1 square mile, up the street, about 3 blocks up the street, there was a young grad student. He was going to Boston University in theology. 3 blocks away, at the time of my birth. His name was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Okay? About another 4 blocks up the street from there was a senior at Boston English High School. He was a prolific track star. He played the violin, could sing a little bit. His name was Eugene Walcott. Some of you know that name, but most of you know him by the name of Louis Farrakhan. Okay, this was the month that I was born. This is where they were. Senior in high school. And there was another young man about another 5 or 6 blocks away, and he was resting. He was resting in a prison cell in Charles Street Jail, at Charles Street Jail. And he had spent his high school years in Roxbury. And his name was Malcolm Little, who we know as Malcolm X. So, I guess I will throw it out there. September of 1951, that's where we all were. We were up the street on Mass Ave, living and going to Boston University theology school, trying to make a name for themselves, and I guess Martin Luther King Jr. did indeed make a name for himself. Louis Farrakhan is head of the Nation of Islam. He, he decided not to pursue track or the violin or singing, and we all know that Malcolm X, after he was released from prison, started working in terms of being active in the nation himself and some other things. So, Boston, the cradle of liberty, has spawned some of the, the most interesting people in terms of the civil rights community. Now, my family was from the Cape Rhode Islands. I'm first generation here, so they really didn't know anything about the NAACP or the Urban League or anything. It wasn't involved in the civil rights movement at all. In fact, Cape Verdeans at that time were Portuguese. All Cape Verdeans, no matter what color they were Portuguese. We weren't African American or black or colored or Negro, anything like that. And in fact, some people say that's the case today with some people, even to this day, in Rhode Island. So, and I'm not going to argue that point, but I'm just saying, certainly back in the 50s, I came from a family that, immigrant family, not looking at civil rights really at almost at all. And yet here I stand before you as the president of the NAACP. So what happened? Well, I was going to Boston Public Schools, and there was a book produced, I think, when I was in the 7th grade or 8th grade. It was called Death at an Early Age, The Destruction of the Hearts and Minds of the Negro Children of the Boston Public Schools. And that book was written by Jonathan Kozol. And I read that book my freshman year at Dartmouth College in 1969, 1970. And, I said, what is interesting? It's about Boston. But what was more interesting than that was that my grammar school was on page 36, my junior high school was on page 57. So at that time, I started feeling a little lucky to be anywhere, let alone a school like Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. And I do remember being recruited at Boston Technical High School in Roxbury, actually being recruited. And I didn't play basketball. I didn't play football. I ran a little track, but I wasn't that good in track. But I said, look, why are you recruiting me? And little did I know that because of someone being assassinated several months earlier, Dr. Martin Luther King in 1968, I think it was the same week I was taking my SATs as a junior in high school. Because of that and subsequent riots, all of a sudden, across America, universities that were predominantly white were now begging students of color that they thought had ability to go to the universities for the first time. And, you know, I didn't appreciate it so much then, back in the fall of '68, but I certainly have never forgotten that opportunity and forgotten that I stand on the shoulders of giants. You know, I said, how does a kid from the south end of Boston, from a Cape Verdean family, never involved in civil rights, all of a sudden now, because of the color of my skin and because of the discrimination to that point at these schools, because of the legacies and everything else, get an opportunity to go? You know, how does that happen? And I remember that they had 84 black upper class students, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and they recruited and they admitted 90 black men, because the Dartmouth wasn't co-ed until my senior year. 90 black men, which is about 10 less than what they have now. They have 100 black men, and in fairness, there's 200 black women. We had no black women, but you know, I was struck by the fact that there were only 100 brothers on that campus today, where 40 years ago we had 90 in my class in 1969. So there's a problem there somewhere in terms of, you know, what's happening in terms of minority participation in higher education. But that's not the focus of what I want to talk about tonight anyway. So I, you know, coming from those schools Jonathan Kozol talked about, you know, was given an opportunity back in '68. You know, I remember when the couple of the first kid that came was from Iowa, and he was white and he had long hair, and I said, look, you're in the wrong neighborhood, but this is Roxbury. I mean, you know, nobody from here has ever gone to a place like that, you know. And he said, okay. He went back. They sent a black student that was from the neighborhood whose father was a doctor, and he had went to Nobles and Greeno. And I said, well, you know, that's good for you that you're there and everything, but you know, I'm from the other side of the tracks or whatever. I can't do this. But then he said something that changed my life. He said, do you know Ron Critchlow? And I really shouldn't even mention his name, but Ron Critchlow. I said, sure. He was here last year. He was a senior last year. He said, well, he's up there. He's up there. And I said, really? Well, how's he doing? You know, because I saw him as a football star, but didn't see him as any kind of academic heavyweight. He said, he's doing well. He's doing well. And at that moment, because of that association, I said, you know, let me see that application, because I was getting ready to just, you know, blow him off the way I blew off the other guy. So opportunity knocked when he mentioned somebody that I could relate to, you know, a kid that grew up in the projects in Boston. And I said, I can relate to that. So, you know, leadership, the path to leadership is strange, and it really depends on where you are. And sometimes, you know, it's God and it's your destiny. And so you got to listen for the cues, and you got to understand that everybody is a leader of some sort. So let me continue. I'm in high school. Let me go back to when I was like a sophomore. Another thing happened. Urban renewal, Boston Redevelopment Authority, knocking on the door. Coming in, talking about eminent domain. We're getting ready to take your house. We're getting ready to take your block. And I'm saying, wow, I mean, how can you just come and do that? We're the government, and we are not your friends. You know, we're getting ready to do urban renewal, which we later said was Negro removal. But at the time, it was supposed to be urban renewal. So I'm 15 years old, the oldest in an immigrant family, so I did most of the talking to the Boston Redevelopment Authority caseworker. And as fate would have it, you know, I went to grad school in city planning, I majored in government, because I was struck by this whole thing. It never left me, the fact that they leveled my block. You know, we found another place to stay in the neighborhood, across the street actually. But that was only because we found a place. They were trying to move us into the most notorious public housing project in the city. They didn't care. You know, it's just, you got to go. We got plans for this neighborhood, plans that don't include you, your neighbors, your friends. It just doesn't include you. So, you know, that struck me. And then when Martin Luther King and then some of that other stuff that happened around there, the riots, I said, I'm a major in government, minor in urban studies. So that motivated me to do that. I'm going to go to grad school, you know. So University of Pennsylvania said, come here, you know. Harvard said, come here. Columbia said, come here. I said, look, I got to go where the money goes. And Penn got the money. And you guys don't have the money. So I went to Penn basically because they decided they were going to invest in their black students. And no offense to Harvard and Columbia, they claimed they didn't have the money. We'll let you in, but we don't have the money. So anyway, at Penn, you know, great 2 years in terms of working in housing, you know, in West Philadelphia, and couldn't get a job after grad school. 1975, President Ford, recession. Sound familiar? Couldn't get a job in Philadelphia. Didn't want to come back to Boston. It just didn't feel right to me. So, the funny thing happened on the way to getting a job in Philadelphia. I put one resume in Boston, and that resume came through. And guess where that resume was attached to? The Boston Redevelopment Authority. I woke up and found myself as the senior planner for Roxbury, where I went to high school, at the Boston Redevelopment Authority, almost 9 years to the day from that first call when I was 15 years old. I was 24 years old when I started my career at the Boston Redevelopment Authority. So leadership, things have a way of connecting, so, just try to bear with me, try to follow me. So there, I'm in charge of urban renewal for where my high school is. So, that was kind of nice, but I said, this is almost like, divine. I mean, I can't believe that this is happening to me. And then further, a few years later, the mayor asked me to be the director of the Blue Hill Avenue Commission to revitalize the entire black community, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. And I said, well, I'm the kid that got displaced from the South End back in the 60s, and, I'm a victim. How am I being entrusted with, trying to revitalize, be the planner, to be the head of something to revitalize the black community? So at that point, I started feeling like maybe, I had a path or a destiny. So my point here is to listen to what happens to you and to try to not to overanalyze, but kind of go with the flow. So at that time, I did that, and then I ended up my career in Boston being the director of the Tenant Development Corporation, which was set up to make sure that they could keep as many people from the South End who were being displaced wholesale in the neighborhood. It was Section 8 housing, 300 units of Section 8 housing, and I was the first person that had been displaced to be the director. And that was in the 80s. And I just felt that, how am I getting these positions? What is going on? So, sometimes, I guess God has a path for you, so you got to, take those opportunities. I wasn't a leader. I ran track. I wasn't a captain of the track team. When I was in college, I wasn't in student government. I wasn't a leader of anything. I was just a regular student just trying to pass. I did, join the Afro-American Society, but I was kind of a quiet participant. So you don't need to be a leader now. But you got to listen for the cues. You got to look at opportunities. You got to build on that. So I said, okay, but at the time in Boston, it was just so racist and so much things going on. I said, I got to get out of here. And I came to Rhode Island back in 1990 to be the housing coordinator at City of East Providence. But I didn't know anybody. I didn't know a soul. And I felt funny about just having a 9 to 5 and not knowing anybody, because I had liked being involved in the community and giving back and doing things that I felt were important. Because I realized that, if it wasn't for when I was born and, Martin Luther King dying when he did, and then all of a sudden affirmative action happening when it happened, and I am an affirmative action baby, absolutely. That is not a bad word. Affirmative action is an outreach program. There were other people that went to other schools at Yale and Harvard, like Henry Louis Gates and Dr. Ben Carson. You ever heard of them? All right. They went there. Okay, they went there under affirmative action. They're the best at what they do. I forgot to mention Ken Chanel, president of American Express. They're the best at what they do in the world. Came in under affirmative action the same way I did 40 years ago. So, that is not a bad word, and that is a program of opportunity. Barack Obama can add him to the list, even though he came along 10 years after us. But affirmative action at Columbia. So, you are all potential leaders. I'm talking mostly to the students. You don't have to have been the president of anything today, or, just be with who you are, the great students that you are. Because things have a way of happening. So, my leadership here, all of a sudden I'm helping a student at URI. She was in the planning department, planning school. She was from Boston, and I helped her with a project, and she came to me and said, how'd you like to be a member of the Urban League? She was a member of the Urban League. I said, sure. And what happened there, that led me to be on the board, and 6 years after that, and I guess if you go to enough meetings, they'll ask you to be the president of anything. Because I certainly wasn't from here. I went to meetings for 6 years, next thing you know, they asked me to be the president of the Urban League in Rhode Island. I said, whoa, wait a minute, slow this down. But I became president of the Urban League, and I was president of the Urban League 10 years ago. Here I am, the Cape Verdean. I was a shy, asthmatic kid. Parents wasn't in the civil rights movement. We thought we were Portuguese. We weren't black. And now I'm president of the Urban League. The second greatest civil rights organization, because of course the NAACP is the oldest and the boldest, and they're the baddest civil rights organization in the country. And I would say that with no ill will to the Urban League, which, once you're in Urban League, always in Urban League. And I tell Dennis Langley and everybody that every time I see him. But, I started with the Urban League because I didn't know anybody. I wanted to know Providence. I wanted to know black people. I wanted to know Latinos, whatever, Cape Verdeans. I wanted to know them better. So That's why I joined, and it wasn't there to try to be a leader or anything like that. But if you are committed to doing something, do it well. Don't miss meetings, volunteer for committees and whatever. And I'm telling you, and this is a secret. If you do that with anything out here, because I've been involved in a lot of boards, you will be asked to be in leadership. You'll be asked to be on an executive committee. Once you hear those words, executive committee, you're on the fast track to be president of that organization within 2 years, if you stay with it. So you need to not shy away from it. You need to embrace it. You need to embrace that. But my message here is the fact that anybody can be a leader, because certainly I had no leadership aspirations or skills or anything, and yet here I am, trying to do the right thing in terms of the NAACP. And I'm going to make an appeal to join the NAACP. I'm going to first tell you what it's about in a minute. After my Urban League tenure, I decided that, employment, we needed people to get connected with employment. We had too many people that didn't have an opportunity, that were talented, like you students, and yet there was opportunities going to other people. And I don't care, Rhode Island is who you know, whatever. I think it's a little bit more basic than that. People that know about the opportunity and can get an opportunity usually do well. The fact is that there were opportunities available, but people of color didn't know about the opportunities. So the Rhode Island Affirmative Action Professional, what we do, and I'm still the president of that, we get companies and agencies and institutions to let us know where the vacancies are. And then I have an email list of 1,000 people, and don't tell anybody, but I have a Facebook friends list of 2,400 people, and I get the word out about these opportunities, and when I tell these companies, you're going to get some of the best applicants you've ever received, ever. And you know what they tell me? Jim, you were right. You are right, and we cannot afford to play on half of the playing field anymore. We're in a global economy. We have to get the best and the brightest of all communities, not just certain communities that are not of color. We have to have the best and the brightest of all communities. We just didn't know where to find them. I said, well, the HR director that didn't know how to find them should be fired, first of all, because that's your job, to find the best and the brightest. And if you don't know how to find the best and the brightest of all communities, you shouldn't have a job, and I believe that. We'll get somebody else to do that HR that knows how to get into those communities. And I know I'm being a little harsh, but it makes me sick when I hear people say we can't find anybody. And you got the talent right here. You got to be kidding me. Just open your eyes. So I get a little passionate about that. But at the same time, I didn't think that was enough, so I became a member of the NAACP, became vice president of Cliff Montero. Cliff Montero finally decided to hang it up. He had done it long enough. I said, Cliff, give it up. And he said, okay, 50 years out here. I march with King. I said, I know you march with King. And the point is, that means that it's time for you to rest. I was 12 years old at the March in Washington. I mean, you say you were like 30 or something? You need to retire. You need to give it up. So Cliff, finally allowed me to have the opportunity to become president. And my thing is that, there's a lot of rewards in giving back. And I think that I had, and you also, because everybody here stands on somebody's shoulders. You stand on the shoulders of giants, people that came before you that, through blood, sweat, and tears, they fought, bled, and died, so that we could be where we're at. I think too many young people kind of take for granted where we're at. They don't understand the civil rights movement and what happened at lunch counters and dogs or whatever. It's in some history books, but I mean, they don't know people that actually went through that. And I didn't need to know anybody that went through that. I know that I had an opportunity that really needed to be dealt with in terms of giving back. And I have a spiritual responsibility because of my upbringing. I was brought up very religious at my house, and I believed in the Christian life of giving back. I think that, the challenges out there is that sometimes people don't agree with your vision, but people don't have to agree with one's vision, You don't have to agree with everybody's vision. I mean, I have a certain vision of what it needs to be, but that's what democracy is. You come in, and then we talk about it. There's the 20-80 rule, okay? 20% of the people do 80% of the work, Sometimes, and that's true, but you can't let that frustrate you. I found that no matter what organization I'm with, 20% of the people do 80% of the work, and 80% of people do 20% of the work. You got to balance your commitments. You got to maintain your health, and you got to maintain a social life. You got to make sure you do that. Because if you're not healthy and you're not happy, you're no good to anybody. So if anything, my message is to do that. Leadership, to me, is the ability to effectively communicate vision, mission, and goals. It's the ability to inspire and motivate. and it's the ability to coordinate or team build. And my personal guiding principles are vision, integrity, commitment, passion, enthusiasm, work hard and smart, be consistent, persistent, empathy, interest in people, humor, study, challenge yourself, and strategic. And I think, the more visible you are, the more credibility you seem to have, because that's how Americans sometimes see you. Well, you must know more than everybody because you're on TV or you're in the papers or whatever. So I strategically try to be, as visible as possible, because people do give you more credence because they feel that, you must know more because you're everywhere. So just keep that in mind too as you go on. Now the NAACP, I'm going to give you our mission. Our mission is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. So for anybody that thinks that this mission is outdated and we don't need the NAACP today, then I'd like to speak to you afterwards. Okay? Because in the light of Trayvon Martin, Troy Davis, the Gina Six, and on and on and on and on and on, there's more of a need for the NAACP now than maybe ever before. There's been a proliferation of hate groups that's been unreal since 2008. We know what happened in 2008. Somebody got elected. All right? Okay? And there are people out there that are not happy with that, and they are hell-bent to make sure that doesn't happen again. And they are doing things like coming up with voter suppression tactics across the country. Photo IDs, all of a sudden we need photo IDs because there's fraud. All over the country, there's fraud. Well, we've been voting for what? Well, maybe black people haven't been voting for 200 years, but there's been voting going on for a long time. And we've been voting, and women have been voting shorter time. But I'm just saying that, nobody was talking about fraud before, but they're talking about that now. And maybe that's a coincidence, but I don't think so. I don't think that's a coincidence. So in 23 states, all of a sudden they got photo ID laws. You even have a photo ID law here in Rhode Island, which mystifies everybody else in the country, because usually it's right-wing and Republicans and whatever that are doing it because they know the people that don't have the photo IDs tend to be minorities or people of color, the elderly, disabled, homeless. And who are those people usually vote for? Democrats. Democrats. But yet in Rhode Island we have a Democratic leadership, and to be quite honest, and this is where I take the beating when I go around the country, we have a person of color in the House and a person of color in the Senate that introduced the legislation, the voter suppression legislation. So Rhode Island, here we are, in terms of civil rights community, we are last. I hate to say it because of that photo ID law. We're not received well at all around the country. I hate to tell you that, but I go around as president of the NAACP here in Rhode Island, I hear it, and they cannot believe it that we are so backwards here in terms of things like that. That's devastating to our community in terms of our voting participation. We're trying to increase the vote, not suppress the vote. And it doesn't matter why we don't have the IDs. That's not the point. The point that we don't have them. And a lot of people are not going to get them, especially elderly people. They don't have license. They don't have passport. So why do that? Well, there's fraud, but there's not a scintilla worth of evidence that there's fraud. None. And yet, in the same case, you have a New York City phone book with the evidence that there's racial profiling, because there was two Northeastern University studies that were done to say that there was racial profiling, but that can't even come up for a vote. Can't come up for a vote. People that push this photo ID law should be camping out on the State House lawn and doing hunger strikes for racial profiling legislation. There's a New York City phone book with the evidence that's racial profiling, but yet no. It's inexplicable to me, as a person that's just a resident of Rhode Island, let alone the leader of the oldest and the greatest civil rights organization in America, yesterday, today, and any other day. It is inexplicable to me that we have the situation here in Rhode Island. But I'm not even here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the fact that I need each and every one of you to join the branch. I need you to join the branch. It's $30 for membership. I'm gonna be shameless with that. I need you to join the branch. We are committed to making sure that there's no bigotry and no bias anywhere. We are a multicultural, multiracial organization. I think we all know that, some of the biggest developments in our history, like Brown versus Board of Education, Charles Hamilton and Thurgood Marshall, life members of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. There wouldn't be a Brown versus Board victory if it wasn't for the NAACP involvement. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a life member of the NAACP, Jackie Robinson, all the stuff that he did, much more than just breaking the color barrier, life member of the NAACP, and on and on and on. And we have the Voting Rights Act of 65, the Civil Rights Act of 64, NAACP, all over it, okay? All over it. And in recent years, you know, we've done voter registration and voter education to the point where even Al Gore felt that if it wasn't for the NAACP, he would have been as close as he was. So I'm here to say that to the young folks, anybody could be a leader if I could be a leader, okay? I'm the only person in Rhode Island history to be the president of the NAACP and the Urban League. And I'm from a Cape Verdean family that didn't know they was black, okay? I was asthmatic. I was shy. I didn't even go to my prom. I was afraid to ask a girl to the prom. I couldn't even raise my hand. I was so shy I was going to get laughed at. So I was shy, painfully shy, asthmatic, wasn't a captain of no teams, you know, wasn't a part of student government in high school or college. And yet, I stand here, you know, before you as a leader of an organization that is near and dear to my heart. So I'm going to leave it at that because I feel that, you know, tonight is the students' night, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that, you know, leadership comes in many forms and it can be anybody. And that the NAACP needs you more now than ever before. I want to start a student chapter here at URI. There was one once upon a time. I want to start another one. And hopefully, you know, we can all work together and we can make sure that there's justice in this country. I thank you.
To make the first award tonight, actually, is Professor Don Cunningham. Don, tell us about it.
On behalf of the Black Scholar Awards Committee of the University of Rhode Island, I'd like to present to you one of our brand new plaques. Normally our plaques have the URI logo. We think big, or something like that. But who knows? Yeah, whatever. Think big, we do. I think that's it. With a miniaturized globe on it, and they were cute. But we have a brand new logo design, and it was designed by a former Black Scholar Award recipient, Mr. Jason E. Smith. And he came up with the entire logo. Well, the African mask is actually from Africa, all right? But he worked on the mask and designed the coloring and so forth. So our new plaques contain the mask and the rest of the logo. Hopefully it'll be larger next year. This is our first time doing this. And on behalf of the Black Scholar Awards Committee, I'd like to present to you the Tasha E. Taylor Jr. Community Spirit Award. In recognition of your outstanding contributions and service to the communities of color through your efforts to create greater understanding between the races, April 2nd, 2012.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, this is not on the program. Chill, bro. This is not on the program. And Mr. Stevenson, I have like a double picture up there. How do I get rid of one of them? I'm afraid to touch anything. Wait. We have like a whiz kid with this. You, right. Would you come down here and help me, Mr. Odefuye? See, our Black Scholar Award winners just can do all types of things. Yeah, I only want one, and I was planning on using either this or that to go down. I want to go down page.
What do you want to do?
One display.
What do you want to do?
You guys can tell us if we have more than one up there. You'll have two.
Do you want it to be because it can be another source? So it's going to be.
Whatever works, my brother. You do it. Work your magic.
Right?
All I want is one of these.
Okay.
Not that we, two of you, it's not really, more the fun, but I want one. Okay, while he's doing this, I'll just, you know, I'm a professor. We know how to ad-lib. A couple of years ago, Dr. Bibb retired. He's Professor Emeritus in Biological Sciences and former Associate Dean of the Graduate School. And the year after he retired, I was going to have this big to-do. I was going to give him a little plaque and a little gift, and we were going to, because he'd done all this wonderful work with the Black Scholar Awards. And so I called him and asked, "Are you coming to the program?" He said, "No." He didn't say it like that. He actually was going to South Africa. His son, Bowden, Colby? Bates. Okay, Bates. His son was in Bates and was engaged in academic programs in South Africa. Where? In South Africa. Okay. And the family arranged to meet with him. Thank you. I'll finish my story. I'm a Southerner. We tell stories. And he was unable to attend. And he came last year to our amazement. And I prepared all this little PowerPoint. And I said, I'm going to do it this year. Okay. So this is a PowerPoint on the 37-year career of Dr. Harold D. Bibb at the University of Rhode Island. Should I hit the down on this one? On this one? Okay. There we go. He's a Midwesterner who came east. And this is a picture of Harold with his 50th anniversary class of Centralia. Centralia? Oh, yeah. You know, you can Google all types of things, my brother. High school reunion, class of 1958. And I circled Harold. Can you see him? The little red circle. And he's a native of Southern Illinois and has remained in contact with his high school classmates, as you can see. He received his PhD from the University of Iowa in 1969, his MS from the University of Iowa in 1964, and his BA degree from Knox College in 1962. He's done additional study as a postdoctoral fellow at the National Institute of Health and the United States Public Health Service. In addition, he studied at the University of Victoria in British Columbia and at Brown University. As I mentioned earlier, he was a professor of biological sciences, one of the first African Americans to receive full professor status, and served as associate dean of the Graduate School of the University of Rhode Island. In 1972, he arrived as a brand new faculty member at the University of Rhode Island. As a faculty member, he brought a wealth of knowledge from an impressive set of academic training experiences. He settled into the Kingston area where he and his family became an integral part of the community. Dr. Harold Bibb was the first keynote speaker for the Black Students Awards banquet, the predecessor to our Black Scholar Awards in 1998. In 2003, he became the Master of Ceremonies, or politically correct, presider for the Black Scholar Awards program. His university service has been extensive. Over the years, Dr. Bibb has been a dedicated servant of the University of Rhode Island's community of color. His activities have included the following: chairperson, President's Commission on the Status of Administrators, Faculty, Staff, and Students of Color, advisor to the New England Land-Grant University Student Exchange Program, and member of the College of Engineering Diversity Committee. In addition, his university service included the following: member of Information Resources Council, member of African and African American Studies Advisory Committee, and member of the Racial Harassment Committee. In 2009, he was the recipient of the Diversity Award for Excellence in Leadership and Service as an administrator. In addition to receiving that award from the Multicultural Center during its annual Diversity Award program, he was highlighted in terms of his other work, which included serving a member of the Northeast Alliance for Graduate Education and Professorate, Compact for Faculty Diversity, New England Board of Higher Education Doctoral Scholars Program for Underrepresented Populations. His contributions to diversity also included National Action Council for Minorities in Engineering, the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation's Minority Doctoral Program, Institute for the Recruitment of Teachers. His community service has also been extensive. He has been a stalwart contributor to the local community outside of the university. Those activities have included the following: member of the Kingston Chamber Music Festival Board of Directors, member of the Knox College Board of Trustees, and honor roll donor to Knox College, having contributed over $100,000. And there he is with our president, Barack Hussein Obama. Dr. Bibb has been a contributor to organizations devoted to the growth and development of a multiracial professoriate, such as the Southeast Alliance for Graduate Education and the Professoriate, where he's presenting a presentation. That was in Florida, right? For over half a decade, Dr. Bibb served graciously as the Master of Ceremonies for our program. During the 10th anniversary celebration of the Black Scholar Awards, in which we had a banquet, and I'm hoping that we can get support from the provost and other officers for a banquet in our 20th year. Okay. Dr. Bibb performed his duty with the usual aplomb, as you can see. A montage of his service in various Black Scholar Awards programs. The Bibb family tradition of academic excellence continued as Dr. Bibb's daughter, Emily Bibb, received the first David Edmonds Award for outstanding artistic and creative expression. And he was the proud papa that night. She also was a member of the third induction class of the Rhode Island Senior Honor Society. And that concludes our presentation. Again, another picture of Dr. Bibb with his classmates from the class of 1958 of Centralia High School. On behalf of the Black Scholar Awards Committee, it's my pleasure to present this token of appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you. You probably will not believe this because there was this picture up there on the screen when you walked in. And the first time that I had any inkling that any of this was going to take place was when I came in a few minutes before we were scheduled to start and saw my picture up there. And I realized that Don must have something up his sleeves. I didn't want to ask too many questions about that. I have to say that, first of all, I'm incredibly humbled by what you've just done, which was, in fact, very, very much over the top. Thank you very much for doing that. But what was going through my mind, actually, through all of that, was the time that I've been able to spend here with some terrific people, to work with some terrific people on each one of the activities that were mentioned there, so far as the University of Rhode Island is concerned. And especially to have developed the friendships which I still value, which I still hold, and see many of those people actually here tonight. And I have to say that that is probably the most rewarding part of the whole experience that has been mine here at the University of Rhode Island. So in many, many ways, I thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'm supposed to go ahead and do stuff.
Yeah, do your thing. That's right.
So we really now, though, do get to the real reason that we've come tonight, and that is to recognize students who have achieved, students who have shown excellence in their academic work. But in a real way, it's a twofer, because while we are able to use the occasion to identify and to award students, it also is an opportunity, by the names of these awards, to recognize people who have made incredibly valuable contributions to equity and to justice in the country in a variety of ways. So, presenting the first award is Professor Chris Hunter, who will present the William Gould Award for all-around outstanding achievement. Chris.
Good evening again. I feel like I've been pressed into too much duty. I'm already tired. When you get to be the co-chair of the Black Scholars Awards, they had me playing the piano outside during the reception, get to introduce Brother Jim, and now I get to introduce Miss Mecca Smith. Now this is really exciting, right? And why am I saying this? Because when we talk about this first award, I'm glad I have a chance to do this. We say that the William Gould Award for all-around outstanding achievement in areas of organizational leadership, peer relationships, faculty-student relationships, general service, and academic performance. She hits every one of these. So let me share some of this background of this young lady. You can come on down to they need to see you for a long period of time. They don't need to see me. They should see your face and absorb that. Right? Anthropology and film media studies, dual major, dual minors, international development, leadership and nonviolence, peace studies. The young lady's been a student admission representative for high school seniors when they come to the campus. She's been a URI 101 student mentor. In this capacity, she gets to work with a faculty member hand in hand in talking to freshman students and helping deliver course content. But she says, you know what, I don't just need to be in the classroom. I don't just need to be on the I need to get off of this campus. So when we said that she's an anthropology major, she says, you know, I need to go do some anthropological work. And so she goes to Belize. I'm just going to get off of this United States. I got to go do some work. And she goes with major professor, and they do some archaeological reconnaissance work during the summer of 2011. She's also a URI peer advocate. And this advocacy is for violence prevention and advocacy services for the URI Women's Center. Numerous scholarships, because we said this is an all-around achievement, so we need to talk a bit about these scholarships, just a few of them at least. But there's an important word that you hear in each one of them, merit. So she's the B&B Sherman Merit Scholarship winner, the George Wiley Merit Scholarship winner, the Eric Osterberg Merit Scholarship winner, the last one, the Phi Eta Sigma Study Abroad Scholarship. This all-around person that we continue to talk about. She's been a part of the URI Honors Student Advisory Board, a member of the Anthropological Society, the secretary of Phi Eta Sigma, the Honor Society, part of the Student Nonviolence Involvement Committee, and then she had the nerve to be athletic. She says, I'm going to be a part of the intramural soccer teams. So she can't just stay in the place. But I'm excited now, and let me stop, because what I want to do right now is present to you this award for your incredible achievement. The University of Rhode Island Black Scholar Awards Committee presents the William Gould Award for All-Around Outstanding Achievement to Mecca Smith in recognition of all-around outstanding achievement in areas of organizational leadership, peer relationships, faculty-student relationships, general service, and academic performance. April 2nd, 2012. Congratulations.
Oh gosh, okay.
Very few. Brief words. Brief words.
All right, thank you very much. I just want to say that I'm a junior, so I have a whole year to go, so more to come. Thank you.
As we move along, we will recognize the names of some of the people for whom awards have been named, and that certainly is true for the award that is about to be announced. It's the Arthur L. Harge Award for All-Around Outstanding Community Service. It's going to be presented by Reverend Harge's son, Mark. Mark, coming down. I'm sure that Mark will fill you in very briefly on some of the details as to why this award would be here for as the Arthur L. Harge Award. But it is somebody who was critically important in the development of the community that we can see here tonight. Mark.
Thank you, Dr. Fitt. Good evening. I'm here to present the Arthur L. Harge Award for Outstanding Communities, all-around community service to a proud young Nigerian brother by the name of Gafar Odafuye. Mr. Odafuye has indeed served his community inside and outside of the university. First, I'll give you some highlights. He currently is the Vice President of NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers, the URI chapter. He's also the Treasurer of the URI chapter of Phi Tau Sigma, the National Mechanical Engineer Honor Society. Mr. Odafuye serves the URI community, working for computing and information technology services here at the university, and also at the URI Bay Campus Nuclear Science Center. This brother can run a nuclear reactor, so you know he's no joke. He's no joke. What I think are some of the highlights, and I really encourage students as an advisor here with the Talent Development Program. I really encourage students to kind of go outside the box a little bit and take advantage of the programs and the opportunities that are here at the university. And this young man chose to go to do a study abroad in China. So we should be very proud of those students, especially our students of color that do step outside the box and not only study abroad, but will be willing to go to another continent, learn another language, learn another culture, just for your academic curiosity and wanting to serve your community all over the world. So I'm sure his family is very proud of him, as he should be proud of himself. The other thing I really want to accentuate is that this young man is I'm sure, has a very strong culture and a very strong awareness of his identity and his Nigerian Yoruba culture. And I always like to accentuate that and let people know that y'all are here and y'all are very strong in this community as well. Without further ado, I introduce to you Mr. Gafar Odafuye. Congratulations. This is the Arthur L. Harge Award for Outstanding Community Service, both inside and outside the university. And just to tie it into Mr. Vincent's speech, Reverend Harge was the director of the Talent Development Program, which was also born out of the events of 1968 and the explosion of students of color at universities all around the country. So just to tie that in, here's a fine product of that right here.
As you guys can see, I'm not really prepared for anything in particular, but I guess I can say thank you in a couple of languages, just going off of it. So I'll say it in English, thank you. I'll say it in Chinese, 谢谢你. And I'll say it again in Yoruba, 谢谢.
Thank you. Now, if you have a look at your programs, you're going to see that the next award is actually the Martin Luther King Jr. Award for Outstanding Leadership and Contribution to the University Community. And you would see that scheduled to present that award is Professor Yvette Harps-Logan, who unfortunately was unable to be here tonight. Now, that doesn't mean, however, that we omit giving the award, right? Ready to step in, always at the drop of a hat, is Professor Cunningham, who doesn't mind standing here before you and handing out awards, right? So Professor Cunningham for the Martin Luther King Jr. Award for Outstanding Leadership and Contribution to the University Community.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Dr. Harps-Logan is away. She's actually in my home state of Mississippi, and she's attending a wedding of her goddaughter. And she was hoping that she could get back in time, but unfortunately, flight didn't work out. So I agreed to present this award to a lovely person in a highly competitive competition for this particular award, and that is Miss Maria L. Beltre. Miss Beltre will be receiving a Bachelor of Science in Civil and Environmental Engineering this spring, and she's a Dean's List student with a grade point average of 3.56 out of 4. She has received a federal SMART grant, a Jean Bucci Family Scholarship, a Winfield Tucker Engineering Scholarship, a Nuclear Engineering Scholarship, a Stream Engineering participant in the SHAPE conference of 2010. She's been a research assistant in her department. She has also worked as an intern for her department and an intern for the University of Rhode Island Transportation Center. She worked with construction projects with the Rhode Island Department of Transportation. She's had an extensive amount of leadership experience across the university. She's a member of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, holding position as freshman representative, assistant secretary, and president. She's a member of the National Society of Black Engineers, holding the position of treasurer. She's a member of the Society of Women Engineers. She's a member of the Tau Beta Pi Engineering National Society and Chi Epsilon Society. She has worked as a mentor for the SMILE program and has certification in various areas with regards to her areas of expertise. Fluent in both English and Spanish and proficient in a number of computer languages, Ms. Beltre is an exceptional student who's shown that she more than deserves the title of Martin Luther King Award recipient. Would you please come forth? On behalf of the University of Rhode Island Black Scholar Award Committee, I present to you the Martin Luther King Jr. Award for Outstanding Leadership and Contribution to the University Community. In recognition of outstanding service in the areas of organizational leadership, volunteer service, and general service in the university community. April 2nd, 2012. Congratulations.
I just want to say thank you to everyone, to Dr. Hunter, who nominated me and recognized my abilities and the opportunities I've taken advantage of throughout my career at the University of Rhode Island. Thank you.
You recognize him, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm back up again. This is where I'm supposed to be. Now, this is a special award for me because this young man is one of my students. Several years ago, there were a whole host of my students, but that has changed. So this is my student. Okay. Okay. Mr. Stefan Andre. Mr. Andre has a 3.62 GPA out of a possible 4 and has a triple major in sociology, political science, and Africana studies. And he will be marching this spring as well. He has had an extensive experience in terms of internship, serving an internship with Providence Law Department. He's worked with the Boys and Girls Club of Pawtucket. And one of the things that he did with the Boys and Girls Club of Pawtucket was to organize last summer in the summer camp experience an opportunity for the students to be exposed to soccer. Not only did they play soccer, but he talked about soccer as a sport, an international sport that has political significance as well. And he organized a special program through our internship program designed to not only educate the kids about the sport, but about how the sport engages students in not only in the African diaspora, but around the world. He has been my research assistant on a project looking at inner city youth and the use of public transportation. He's also worked with Professor Sue Boatwright in terms of exploring issues regarding careers in psychology. His involvement on campus activities has been fairly extensive. He's served as a volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. He's the treasurer of the sociology, the sociology club known as the Iron Cage Society. He's worked with SAWA, Student Alliance for the Welfare of Africa. He's a member of the Cape Verdean Students Association, the Latin American Students Association, the National Society of Black Engineers, the Psychology Club. His affiliations as a student member has been with the American Sociological Association, the American Political Science Association, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and the Urban League of Rhode Island Young Professionals. He's a member of the Golden Key International Honor Society, the National Society of Collegiate Scholars, Alpha Kappa Delta International Sociology Honor Society, Pi Sigma Alpha Honor Society, and has been a Dean's List student throughout his academic career. He's worked in a variety of jobs, including with Nike in Massachusetts and as a resident assistant on the University of Rhode Island campus. With no further ado, it's my pleasure to present to you Mr. Stefan Andre. All right, the University of Rhode Island Black Scholar Awards Committee presents the Harvey Robert Turner Award for Outstanding Service to the University of Rhode Island Black community to Mr. Stefan Andre in recognition of significant contributions made to the Black community of the university through activities which demonstrated a commitment to the community's growth and recognition by others. April the 2nd, 2012.
I just wanted to thank everyone coming out today and supporting all of us award recipients. And special thanks to Professor Cunningham for putting this all together alongside with the other faculty members. And also another special thanks to Professor Cunningham for being a tremendous mentor with me, for me, and being also another father figure in my life. And without him, I don't know where I'd be today. So thank you, Dr. Cunningham.
As I said, it really is kind of a twofer in the sense that we do get to recognize not only students, but some people who have become almost iconic so far as the country is concerned. And the next award honors two of those people. It's the Jackie Robinson and Althea Gibson Scholar Athlete Award. It's going to be awarded by Professor Gordon Dash. Hi.
You have to pardon me. Well, first let me welcome everyone to the award ceremony. It's certainly good to see family, friends come out to share in the presentations and the honor of these wonderful young people that are here this evening. I don't normally walk around with my computer, but I'm so happy our provost is in the audience tonight. He's been extremely supportive of technology development for our academic pursuits, and my technology in the office failed. So I'm a little bit handicapped tonight, but all in good jest. Tonight we're going to honor scholar athletes, and this is something I feel very strongly about, having had the opportunity graduating from high school in 1964, going out west to go to school, and had that opportunity because I was an athlete. And prior to that, I thought my life would probably never get any further west than Philadelphia. I grew up in New York City and graduated from high school in New Jersey. But because I was a good wrestler, and as times began to change in the 60s, and certainly we've heard a lot tonight, I can't say how much. I hope you appreciate the comments and certainly the stories and the advice that you were given tonight by our guest speaker, Mr. Vincent. Just really touched home to hear about how the doors opened during this period and allowed us to all gravitate to the point where we are today. Part of that we have to attribute to our scholar athletes because they play a very special role and the functioning of the campus. All of us love to go to see the games. We like to get up and we hoot and we holler and we root. But what we don't see are those hours of toil and practice and pain, being in the ice pit, trying to get swelling down and just getting ready for the next competition so that we in the audience can enjoy how the athletes perform. Tonight, we're going to honor two students. One, Marissa Norman, who has certainly been a representative of our track team and other. I'll talk about that in a minute. And of course, we'll see another recognition go for the Jackie Robinson Award to Anthony Malhu. And these are, to me, two important awards. And while I've mentioned both the scholar athletes, before I say a little bit about them, because most of us have seen them perform in one setting or another on the court, let me tell them about the legacy that they have to live up to by accepting these awards. So on the one hand, and I will begin with the Wilma Rudolph Award that will be given to Miss Norman.
Okay. Althea Gibson.
Althea Gibson. I'm so sorry.
Wilma Rudolph was great, folks.
Well, you can see my mind is bent on track. My mind is bent on track. But whether we're looking at tennis or track, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Salvage this the best way you can.
I'm working on it, Professor Cunningham.
She's a pentathlete, so I mean, you do 3, 4, 5 things, right? Okay.
All right, we'll go to the student. But let me just say that, all right, we can all agree on Jackie Robinson. Let me just relate how important it is to be a person that comes through the demands and the rigors of sports. The one thing it definitely teaches is discipline and courage. Because in many days, these students do not want to go to class. They do not want to go back to practice. They just want to sleep and rest their bodies. But the payoff for the struggles in athletics lead to a letter like this. May 13th, 1958. And we heard 1958 mentioned tonight by our guest speaker, Jim Vincent, so we can see the historical linkage. This is a letter from Jackie Robinson, who was then president of Chock full of Nuts. Chock full of Nuts was the Dunkin' Donuts of the day back in New York City and around. And this letter was written to the President of the United States. And he writes, I was sitting in the audience at the summit meeting of Negro leaders yesterday when you said, we must have patience. On hearing you say this, I felt like standing up and saying, oh no, not again. And we heard that similar advice from Mr. Vincent tonight. I respectfully remind you, sir, that we have been the most patient of all people. When you said we must have self-respect, I wondered how we could have self-respect and remain patient considering the treatment accorded us throughout the years. And the letter goes on. I will not read all of it to you tonight, but there are lessons to be learned. First, there is the positioning that he was able to attain, to write to the president as the president of a major corporation, and then the conviction and courage to say what needed to be said on behalf of an entire race of people who were looking for only an opportunity to have that chance to succeed. So, without going into any more, let me just say a few words about our two candidates this evening. And first, let me address Marissa Norman. 2010 through 2011, she ran both indoor and outdoor track. Her awards and winnings are quite substantial. She won the long jump event with a mark of 5.30 meters. I can appreciate this because my daughter is, as I told Marissa earlier, when I read about her biography, I felt like I was reading about my youngest daughter who would love to follow in her footsteps in that regard. But her records go back into 2009, 2010, 2008, 2009, both in the indoor and outdoor seasons in track. And as Professor Cunningham mentioned, and certainly documented, she is a pentathlete as well. significant contributions that we can all certainly appreciate as we get out and enjoy the students perform. Anthony Malcolm. And what can I say? You guys had a tough year this year on the court. And, but you know, it is that experience that brings about the manhood that we talked about, and Jackie Robinson and all of our great athletes that have gone on. And he is, as you know, a basketball player. He had one of his finest games in a Rhode uniform against Hofstra University. Certainly his credits go way beyond that. But the point is that I think what he learned more than anything this year is not only that his assistant coach was also one of my students, and that I would like to call out every now and then, Preston Murphy, but the most important virtue that we certainly know our student athletes have an introduction to is patience to do well. In addition to patience, the commitment to excel and the ability to work through pain and those difficult choices about whether I continue or just stop. I'd like to call both of you down so that we may recognize our scholar athletes.
Well, all right, I have to apologize.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, I left Miss Norma's plaque at home. So we're going to have to wing this one. I'll read it to you. In recognition of outstanding performance in sports, which highlighted skills of good sportsmanship, they say the same thing, which highlighted skills of good sportsmanship and the best qualities of the scholar athlete, we present the Althea Gibson Scholar Athlete Award to Miss Marissa Norman. And you may...
But Wilma Rudolph would have been a better choice this time.
I just want to say thank you very much for this award. It really does mean a lot.
You will get it. Believe me, you'll get it.
And I wouldn't be able to do this without the support I have at home. And I just want to say I love you guys and thank you for everything. Thank you.
I did bring this one.
Well, Professor Cunningham stole my show, so Anthony would like to present you with the Jackie Robinson Scholar Athlete Award, and just remember you have big shoes to fill.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Marissa.
I would also like to thank the committee. I would definitely like to thank my family that sits there. Special thanks to Dr. Cunningham, and special thanks to Dr. Shanette Harris, who has stimulated my academic curiosity at the University of Rhode Island. Thanks.
The next award is named for Noreen Coachman. I'm sure that there are people who are in the audience who still remember Noreen, who is truly an outstanding person and student here at the University of Rhode Island. Noreen came back to the university after she had been away for a time. Actually, she was an older student. She excelled. She did extraordinarily well. She created for herself both a life and a career, went on to medical school. Unfortunately, Noreen passed away far, far too early. But she remains, I think, a symbol and a light for people who knew her and for people who know her story. So it's the Noreen Coachman Award for Outstanding Achievement by an older student. It's going to be presented by Professor Gatai Gatiti. Gatai?
The Noreen Coachman Award is presented to a senior who has achieved excellence in academic and extracurricular life while maintaining work and family responsibilities. The recipient of tonight's Noreen Coachman Award is someone who has masterfully managed the demands of motherhood, academia, and career. And while people who know me know that I do not like to talk about myself. I like to insert just a word about being an older student, because that's where I began. I did my first degree, I did my master's work, I did my PhD as a father of 3 children. More than halfway through that, I became a single father to 3 children. I traversed an ocean in order to complete the last part of that journey in this country. But this is not about me. This is about what it means to be a student who has achieved a GPA of 3.5 and maintained it. This is about a student who is the mother of what in America we call a special needs child. This is about a student who is a married woman and the mother of 3 children. This is about a woman who still wants to go places in spite of all that work, but also because of it. The recipient of tonight's award is Mitzi Johnson, who is going to graduate with a degree of the Bachelor of Arts in Human Development and Family Studies, and whose involvement in societies and similar groups includes the co-chair of the Rhode Island Coalition for Supporting Parents with Cognitive Challenges, the National Family Peer Mentor or Consultant for the Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health, a member of the Rhode Island Governor's Rhode Island System of Care Task Force, former member of the Rhode Island Council of Developmental Disabilities, former co-chair of the Children Mental Health Advocacy Committee, and the Rhode Island System for Care with Mental Illness. So tonight's award goes to Mitzi Johnson. Mitzi, this award goes to you. It's an Noreen Coachman Award for Outstanding Achievement by an Older Student in recognition of outstanding achievement in academic and extracurricular life while maintaining family and work responsibilities. The date is today.
Thank you very much. I do have a word. I have a word to say. Thank you, kids, for being so patient. I really appreciate it. This award is not just mine. It's for all of us to share in. I got here because of you, my professors. Dean Smith, Dr. Cunningham, Dr. Harris, Cleveland Kurtz, Dr. Angel Green, Mary Stanley. Being in school for such a long time, it's very difficult to maintain the focus and the commitment. As an adult learner, our families, our jobs tend to pull us away, sometimes from our books, and sometimes distract us. But I am a firm believer that family comes first. Sometimes life's challenges can make us feel all beat up. While self-fear and doubt might stop us or tell us there's nothing to prove, you should give up on your dream. No. For my kids, let us not forget the poem, A Dream Deferred. by Langston Hughes. I'm going to try to take a stab at it, girls and Miles. What happened to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or a crust of sugar over syrupy sweat? Or maybe it sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Dr. Cunningham, Dean Smith, Dr. Harris, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Because this knowledge I use, and I use every day. The knowledge that you've shared with me has strengthened my mind, it has fueled my body, and it restored my faith and also my spirit as a human being. I understand the difference between a womanist as well as a feminist. Thank you, Dr. Harris. Two of the most important lessons I've learned here at URI. Number one, epistemology. Study of knowledge, girls. Study of knowledge. And the second thing is keeping our eyes on the prize. Keeping our eyes on the prize. We must do our research ourselves to learn the truth, not live in shame of who we are. We must keep our eyes on the prize. If we let the shame and half-truth stay, it becomes a culture. As we fight for social justice, we must share our truth by dialoguing with others, bringing people together and sharing the truth. Taking what we learn and bringing it back to the community is not enough. It's not enough. We must lift others as we rise up. We must build a team of trusted allies in our community. They're there, the victors, the fighters, the helpers, the winners, the shakers, the movers, the rattlers, the advocates. Bring them together, educate them, and then we can promote change. And the last thing I'd like to do, Noreen Coachman was a hero of mine. I'd like to honor my mother, Jane Turner. Can you please stand up, Mom? She's my hero. Thank you. This is my role model. This is the person that has given me the strength. Mom, can I share your story? As I was in college, the biggest, most devastating thing happened. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then later on it spread to lymphoma, and she is a survivor of breast cancer. I remember going through with her as she was having her chemo and bringing my books, and she was saying, "Study, baby, you can do it. Don't give up." So, Mom, thank you. And then lastly, but not least, I'd like to acknowledge my husband in the back row. He has truly been my rock and my support. I could not have done this without him. And again, it's about family. Family comes first. Lift others as we rise up. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Do I have to give it back? I can keep it.
Yeah, you can keep it. They took pictures before the ceremony, and they had to give them back to me, so she wanted to know whether or not she could keep it. You can keep it.
Bob Dilworth is working his way to the front now. is going to present the St. Clair Drake Award for Outstanding Scholarly Research. Dr. Hill, Mr. Hill.
Thank you, sir. It's okay. Fine. It's okay. I'm very proud to be here tonight. I am having so much fun.
Good, good.
Really, great. Thank you, Dr. Cunningham. Thank you, Dr. Bibb, for inviting me to do this tonight. Justin Brown. It is with great enthusiasm and honor that I present this award to Justin Brown today. I believe Justin is poised to become a premier scholar and researcher in the field of Latin American museology as it relates to past cultural neglect and marginalization of Afro-descendant groups, and unveil reasons for making connections and establishing more inclusive representation of these groups in an ever-expanding global awareness today, which his recent original research paper entitled Storytelling Inside and Outside the Museum of Latin America clearly indicates. As a double major in Spanish, GPA 3.85, and art history, GPA 4.0, Justin is in a unique position to make considerable contributions to the field and subjects of ethnography, identity politics, racial and ethnic representation, and the meaning and value of African-derived object display in museums throughout Latin America. Dr. Mary Hollingshead wrote, and I quote, Justin's exciting research raises important and timely questions about institutions that codify identity. His work, seeking a middle ground, or at least another ground between indigenous populations and colonial powers, is at the forefront of research on underrepresented groups and museum display. Beginning with his determination to pursue his own topic, Justin has demonstrated remarkable initiative and independence in his truly original research, unquote. Justin Brown is a brilliant, witty, challenging artist, and I have to pause here because I first met Justin in my drawing class a couple of years ago, and I could not believe this guy. He was the most incredible, original, technically skilled, imaginative artist that I had seen in a long, long time, student artist I'd seen in a long time. I got really excited, and all I could think about was going back to the art department and just really saying to everyone, you got to meet this guy. He's incredible. We got to bring him into the studio program. Well, lo and behold, I get to the art department. I'm all excited. I run into Professor Hollingshead, and she starts saying, you got to meet this guy. His research is incredible. He just wrote this paper. You have to read it. His name is Justin Brown. And I said, wait a minute. Could this be the same Justin Brown? And we were talking, and lo and behold, it was the same Justin Brown. And I'm just saying this to say that Justin is an incredible artist, visual artist, as well as, I think, a rising young scholar. Justin Brown is a brilliant, witty, challenging artist and young scholar who understands the complex place he and his work occupy in today's world. And so it is with great honor and pleasure that I present to him the 2012 URI Black Scholar Award, St. Clair Drake Award for Outstanding Scholarly Research. So join me in presenting this award to Justin. Thank you. Justin, congratulations. It says, and since everybody else has read it, I will read it too. The University of Rhode Island Black Scholar Awards Committee presents the St. Clair Drake Award for Outstanding Scholarly Research to Justin Brown in recognition of outstanding contributions in scholarly research, April 2, 2012. With great pleasure, I present this to you, Justin. Photo op? No?
No, they were done earlier.
They were done earlier. Yeah. Okay, Justin, you have a few words to say.
I would first like to acknowledge the Department of Art and History, especially Professor Bill Worth and Professor Mary Hollinshead for really supporting me in a lot of my research endeavors, especially a project that I will be working on this summer, which will take me to Brazil, where I will study one of the Afro-Brazilian museums there, and just using it as a successful model of the ethnographic museum in Latin America. And hopefully next fall you will all see me again giving a presentation on my research, so you can look forward to that as well. So, thank you.
I just want to take a brief opportunity to recognize Antaeus Jefferson, who is receiving the David Edmonds Award. Randy Stevenson, who's upstairs right now, who's always in the most unique and prestigious places. Emily Bibb, and all the artists, and I want to say artists of color who have come through the Department of Art and Art History. So to them, I want to just say thank you for your outstanding work.
Actually, Bob came in and he had said that he had one additional thing to say. And he said, if you allow me to do that, I'll mention your daughter. So I said, okay. The next award actually was scheduled to be presented by Darren Simon, who's a reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer, who again, unfortunately, was not able to get here for us tonight. And instead, the St. Elmo Brady Award for Outstanding Achievement in Science is going to be offered by Professor Cunningham.
Mr. Simon, the Philadelphia Inquirer reporter, was our first Gould Award recipient in 1998. And unfortunately, he called me about 1:25 and said, I lost my wallet. And he was going to drive up here because he also received the Rainville Award. And tomorrow night is the Rainville Award presentation. So he was coming up, getting a hotel room, staying overnight, and he lost his wallet. So I told him we'll pray for him and his wallet, and I would present the award. This is indeed an honor to present this award to Ms. Nana Ama-Ofe Tinkaran. She is a member of a very distinguished family of Tinkarans who have received awards like this before. Her sister, who sits next to her, received it in 2009. We have, it's in the blood here of this family. Ms. Ofe Tinkaran is a biological science major with a 3.78 GPA out of a possible 4. She has a minor in leadership studies. She's a member of the American Student Medical Association and the Phi Sigma Honor Society, as well as the Golden Key International Honor Society. She's a recipient of the Mary Ellen Riley Scholarship and has served as a work-study student as a supplementary instructor in the Academic Enhancement Center. She's conducted research in a variety of areas, including developing plant compounds which result in single entities to form preventative and therapeutic effects against several chronic human illnesses. And this was done in the Navendra Seeran's Bioactive Botanical Research Laboratory here on campus. She has worked alongside professors, assisting students in terms of basic math skills, and she is an aspiring, worked with aspiring medical professionals as an ambassador. Her other work experiences included shadowing workers at Hillside Family Community Clinic, working as a supplemental instructor, as I've already mentioned, in Academic Enhancement Center, and working as a mentor for URI 101. She's also been a mentor in the Science, Math, Investigative Learning Experiences program, which other recipients have been a part of. With no further ado, it's my pleasure to present to you Ms. Nana Ama-Ofe Tinkaran. The University of Rhode Island Black Scholar Awards Committee presents the St. Elmo Brady Award for Outstanding Achievement in Science to Ms. Nana Arma Ofe Tinkaron. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Good. In recognition of outstanding, you know, these American Africans have some issues, you understand? In recognition of outstanding achievement in the sciences among black students, April 2nd, 2012.
So I'm going to keep this short. It's been a really long journey. I want to thank God for bringing me through, and I want to thank my family for the great support and my friends who are here to support me as well. Thank you guys.
The David Edmonds Award for Outstanding Artistic and Creative Expression is actually one that you've already heard alluded to earlier this evening. Presenting the award tonight is Dean Earl Smith III.
Welcome back, Dr. Good. While I'm the Assistant Dean of Arts and Sciences, that's not really my passion. My passion is an instructor, and I'm extremely honored, Stefan, Mitzi, and all the other students that you guys strive for excellence. It's a tremendous honor to stand in your presence tonight. With no further ado, I'm honored to present the next award to the following scholar. This award is the David Edmonds Award for Outstanding Artistic and Creative Expression. Some of the criteria is obviously demonstrated excellence as well as originality and creativity in the arts. This young scholar is a major in art and a minor in journalism with a 3.43. They're also an RA, so they serve campus. I was quite impressed with the works of this young man. First time I actually heard of you, to be quite honest. Your advisor articulated that you were a genius, which is a tremendous honor, and that you showed humility, and these are the words of your advisor. The other thing I found very intriguing is that the awards you received, the David Kettner Award, the Jesse M. Simmons Memorial Scholarship, you have art on exhibit in Carlotti and in the President's own private collection. These are great honors, and you have great work and you show great promise. So with no further ado, I'd like you to come up here so I can introduce you and give you this prestigious award. It's with great honor that we give you the David Edmonds Award for Outstanding Artistic and Creative Expression to yourself, to Teus K. Jefferson.
Thank you. You say something after that. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you guys for coming out to support myself as well as the rest of the recipients. I would like to thank Caroline Lopes for nominating me for this award, and I would like to thank Bob Dilworth for encouraging me and for being just there when I need him for support. It's kind of hard being one of the only of, my skin tone in that department. It gets makes me a little insecure when I'm the only one in my class of my kind. So it's nice to see him and know that there's someone else like me out there. So thank you guys.
See, as we move toward the end of it, we find that Cunningham actually ends up taking more and more of the time here in front of you. And I don't think that he paid Mel Benson not to show up tonight so that he could present.
No, I didn't. Not at all.
So that he could present the Estes Benson Award for Academic Achievement. But many of you will know, actually, it really is too bad that Mel wasn't able to be here tonight, because many of you will know and remember Mel as the representative from North Kingstown for many years. Her son Estes was a student here at the University of Rhode Island. Actually was quite an accomplished actor during the period of time that he was here. And unfortunately, again, Estes passed away far too early. So the award is in honor of Estes Benson, and it will be presented tonight by Professor Cunningham.
I really didn't plan to be on the program all night long. And it really is unfortunate that Representative Benson isn't here, because she's always the life of the party in terms of giving us food for thought and making very important points about communities of color, and particularly the black community of Rhode Island. One of our recipients is ill. The weather has been changing over the past couple of weeks, and he has a virus. And Mr. Rusbel Perez. And so I'll tell you a bit about him, and then we will go to Ms. Winfield. Mr. Perez is a textile, fashion, merchandising, and design and business major who has his own small business. Dr. Hartz-Logan wanted me to emphasize the fact that he's taken courses in textile, fashion, merchandising, and design, even though he's a business major, because he's taking that because his small business deals with establishing a clothing line. And he has a 3.70 GPA, which is the highest GPA among all of the black males at the University of Rhode Island. He's worked in various other capacities during his academic career, and has been a dedicated student during his years at the University of Rhode Island. And he will receive his award in the mail. Now, Ms. Jillian Winfield, Ms. Jillian Marie Winfield, is a textile, merchandising, and design major, and she has worked in theater design and costuming. She'll be graduating in, if I'm correct, August 2012. And she has not only studied here at URI, but she's a transfer student from Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She has had extensive experience, including working with SK Cares as a classroom volunteer with second grade elementary students, as well as 7th, 8th, 3rd, and 4th grade students. She's worked as a sales associate with Tuesday Morning. She's worked as a sales associate with Rainbow, and she has been a key holder and sales associate with Everything's Jake. She has designed collections for the Spring Splash fashion show that is held every year at the University of Rhode Island. She will be inducted, along with her other Black Scholar Award winners, into the Rhode Island Onyx Senior Honor Society. She's a member of the Golden Key International Honor Society, Phi Eta Sigma Honor Society, and has been engaged in a number of other activities. It is with pleasure that I present to Ms. Jillian Winfield. There you are. Okay. The University of Rhode Island Black Scholar Awards Committee presents the Estes Benson Award for Academic Achievement to Ms. Jillian Marie Winfield in recognition of achieving the highest overall academic grade point average among black female students at the University of Rhode Island, April the 2nd, 2012.
I just want to say thank you to the Black Scholars Award Committee. A special thanks to Dr. Hartz-Logan, who I know can't be here, who nominated me. She's been such a great advisor to me. When I transferred just last year, it was my first year here, she really helped me get used to URI and really grow to really love it here. And I'm just so thankful to her and for winning this award. I've never received an award like this before, so I'm so grateful. And to my family for supporting me, so thank you.
Just for the record, Dr. Hartz-Logan was a very strong supporter of you, but your GPA at 3.91 is what you got to do this award. We actually, this is the only purely merit-based award. We go through the Office of Enrollment Services. They give us a roster of all the students who self-identify as being of African descent. And so we get the student with the highest GPA, who's male or female. And so she was supportive, but you did all of the work. She won't be there. Is anybody going to do that? No. Okay. So I have to say that to you there. Your citations from the Rhode Island General Assembly will be sent in the mail. Unfortunately, we don't have them. Usually, Representative Benson brings them along with her, but you will also receive those as well.
So let's give a hand once again to all of the winners tonight. And for the straight awards part of the ceremony, that's it. But, as I said before, we don't get together all that often, so there are a variety of things that we have to take care of when we do get together. And one of those tonight has to do with the Onyx Senior Honor Society, a ceremony associated with that. Guess who's going to be doing that?
Actually, I'm supposed to have a colleague, but he is no longer here. Dean Smith. Oh, you're going to step in? Oh, good. Dean Smith has a young one, so that may be. So this is easy. Since we haven't rehearsed it together. You read Smith's part. Which is Smith? The one with Smith right there. And that's Cunningham, Smith. Okay. You got it? Okay. I said it's easy. Which one is Smith? Smith. Okay. In 2005, the Rhode Island Onyx Senior Honor Society was founded as an independent organization by 2 University of Rhode Island faculty members. The impetus for the founding of the Independent Rhode Island organization was derived from a similarly named group established in 1974 by 3 administrators and 7 black students at the University of Pennsylvania. The purpose of the society is to recognize the academic achievement of graduating seniors of African descent. It was established to encourage and provide incentives for scholastic excellence and community service at the university. The founders wanted to foster appreciation for such endeavors and to give recognition for outstanding performance in these areas. The Rhode Island Onyx Senior Honor Society's name is derived from the pure black microcrystalline translucent variety of quartz. This beautiful stone's clarity reflects the fine qualities that the Rhode Island Onyx founders believed as essential characteristics for its members. It was this clarity of purpose that served as the basis for the establishment of the Honor Society's threefold mission. The Rhode Island Onyx Senior Honor Society's 3 tenets are cultural pride.
Onyx members strive to recognize and maintain the cultural traditions and values of their predecessors and propagate them to their successors.
Community service. Onyx members strive to be compassionate and kind-hearted, to give themselves and to assist those who can benefit from their good work. Academic excellence.
Onyx members strive to meet high scholastic standards as members of an educational community.
Together, these 3 tenets provide the foundation upon which the society is built. Through these tenets, we hope to create a positive social experience for blacks at the University of Rhode Island and to recognize black achievement past and present. You are welcomed as new members of the Onyx Senior Honor Society with all the rights, honors, and privileges thereunto appertaining.
As the advisors of the Rhode Island Onyx Society, Senior Honor Society at the University of Rhode Island, we congratulate you.
At this time, Mr. Antaeus Jefferson.
Yay.
Ms. Susanna O. Iwu. Ms. Brittany Hedger. Ms. Diamond Gonsalves. Mr. Robert Hilliard. Ms. Maya Gibbs. Mr. James Fox, Mr. Evans Foston, Ms. Luwapu from Modimu. Now that I butchered the name, she's not here. Ramildo Carrera. Did I do it correctly? Ramilda Carrera. Miss Marie Beltre. Maria. Okay, I'm going to correct that because I misspelled it. Ms. Stefan Andre, I'll correct it. Ms. Bitsy Johnson. Ms. Tetty Joseph. Tetty Joseph. Mr. Anthony Malhoit. Mr. Vaughn Martin. Ms. Brianna Mays, Ms. Jasmine Middleton, Mr. Admir Montero, Mr. Paul Montero, Ms. Fatu India, Ms. Marissa Norman, Mr. Gafu Alaway. I need to see Mr. Gafu Odu Fuye. I don't have your middle name. It's got a whole bunch of letters. Say his middle name. Olu Femi. Okay. Olu Femi. Miss Nana Afe Tikaram. See, I got practice on that one. This is one of those names that could be either Mr. or Miss. Kelly Oliveira. Omalara Orikraton. Resbel Perez. Tanisha Pierre. Kimberly Pyre. Timothy Quenu. Mr. Timothy Quenu. Mr. Jonathan St. John. Jonathan St. John. Ms. Mecca Smith. Ms. Christy Theodore. Ms. Celeste G. Thompson Roach. Ms. Nindi Tiema. Tristan Del Tufo. Miss Jillian Winfield. Is that me? Okay. This concludes our 15th annual Black Scholar Awards program. Early in the evening, we actually sat in the room and counted how many people were here. And with the exception of our 10th anniversary, where we had lobster Newburgh, steak, vegetarian, lasagna, and all types of pastries and good stuff, we had well over 100 people there. We had roughly 120 to be precise. This is the second best attended program that we've had, with a little under 100. So it's a big room of 300, but there's roughly 90 to 95 people here. On that cheerful note, I have one last thing. I grew up in the Deep South, and although I'm an Episcopalian now, I was reared as a Baptist, and all Baptist ministers beg for money. We have a website that you can visit, the Black Scholar Awards, and see all the past recipients. There are photographs, and you can read more about the program, its origins, and about the namesakes of the various people that we've named the awards for. But there's also a page on there about donations. We normally get funding from the University of Rhode Island National Alumni Association, and the President's Office, as well as donations came from our good friend, Office of the Associate Vice President for Community, Equity, and Diversity, the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Engineering, the College of Human Science and Services, and the College of Business this year. And we are extremely grateful for the support of all of those individuals, colleges, and the Provost's office. But we also would appreciate any funds we take, checks, cash, money, because this does require financial support. On that note, have a good evening.